The biggest reframe that I want you to hear is this. Media doesn't have to mean the spotlight. Media is about sharing a message with an audience in any format. A caption on LinkedIn? Yeah, that's media. A quote in an article? You bet. Media. A single podcast soundbite? Yeah, that's media. Some of the most impactful work happens quietly behind the scenes, without a stage, without studio lights, and without ever saying 3, 2, 1. We're alive. So if you've been telling yourself media is not for me just because you don't love the spotlight, I want you to know you've been missing out on an entire side of this industry that was built for people just like you. Well, hey there. Welcome to Media Savvy, the podcast that gives you a behind-the-scenes look at what it takes to get noticed by media and become the go-to expert that they keep coming back to. I'll be sitting down with successful writers, producers, and entrepreneurs to learn the tools and tactics they use to build their reputation and in turn boost their business. I'm your host, Taub-Dix, and I've been working with top-tier media outlets for more than 30 years, anywhere from traditional print publications to online and social platforms. And I'm sharing my nutrition guidance without gimmicks. But you don't have to be a dietitian for this podcast to speak to you. Through my one-to-one conversations, you'll learn how to build a strategy to get your name in the news and establish yourself as an authority in your field, no matter what the industry. With Media Savvy, I'm on a mission to inspire, motivate, and empower you to have the confidence and tools you need to shine in the spotlight. Are you ready? Let's get Media Savvy. Hey there, welcome back to the Media Savvy podcast. I'm your host, Taub-Dix, and today we're talking about something that's a little bit different. We often talk about working with brands, but what happens when you become the brand? If you know me, you know I love working at a booth. That's one of the brand jobs that I just have so much fun with. I've represented everything from salads to bottled water, energy bars, and pretzels, handing out samples, sharing stories, and smiling for endless selfies. And don't get me wrong, partnering with brands is one of my favorite things to do, besides recording this podcast, of course. But recently, I had the chance to do something that was kind of unique. I spoke at a conference where, in addition to giving my presentation, they gave me my very own booth in their expo hall. Now, if you've ever seen me work at a booth, you know that I love this. But this was a little different. It wasn't for someone else's brand. It was for me, for my work, for my media training business. So I set myself up. I designed posters in Canva. I had them printed out. I printed QR codes, and I was ready to schmooze. But standing there, I wasn't really sure what to expect. Would people stop by? Would anyone really care? And then it happened. People did come by, but not just to talk about how to work with media. They came by to talk about why they weren't working with media. Wow, that really surprised me. What I heard again and again wasn't about a lack of knowledge. It wasn't about not knowing enough. It wasn't even fear of failure. It was the fear of being seen. They said things like, I'm too shy. I'm not good on camera. I don't have enough confidence. I'm not polished enough. And I looked at them and said the same thing I want to say to you right now. You don't have to be loud, bubbly, extroverted, or camera ready to get your name in the news. You don't need a ring light, a blowout, or 1 million followers. You don't need to dance on TikTok or have the perfect presence to build a media career or boost your reputation. Or yes, you don't need any of that to make money. And let me tell you, I get it. I know. I've been there. I still remember my very first national TV interview with Regis Philbin on Channel 7's morning show. And believe me, my knees were knocking. I was shaking. My biggest worry wasn't, do I know my stuff? I knew what I had to say. It was, do I look like I know my stuff? That's the kind of pressure that comes with being seen. But speaking of which, you should have seen what I look like. You could catch the whole video of this shoot, which is on my Instagram feed, on at BTD Media, and this was my first national appearance. But I wore an outfit that would be perfect as the before picture in a before and after shot. I wore black and white with zigzags, long earrings. I had really long hair that wasn't pulled back. Don't ask. You could just check it out and look at it yourself. You'll see what I mean. But here's the twist. I walked off that set realizing the audience wasn't looking for the perfect hair or flawless delivery. They wanted real, relatable information. And that's what I gave them. So you could fast forward to today, and I'll let you in on a little secret that even after decades of media appearances, I still get butterflies. Confidence isn't the absence of nerves, by the way. Confidence is about showing up, even accompanied by butterflies, and knowing your message matters more than your mascara. So today, let's bust a few myths that hold people back. You have to be extroverted. Nope. Some of the best communicators are thoughtful introverts who know how to choose their words carefully. You need thousands of followers. Nope. One media quote could travel further than 10 Instagram posts, maybe even 100 Instagram posts, depending on where your quote appeared. Visibility doesn't always equal volume. Or you have to go viral. Wrong again. Going viral is luck. Building credibility is strategy. The biggest reframe that I want you to hear is this. Media doesn't have to mean the spotlight. Media is about sharing a message with an audience in any format. A caption on LinkedIn? Yeah, that's media. A quote in an article? You bet. Media. A single podcast soundbite? Oh yeah, that's media. Some of the most impactful work happens quietly behind the scenes, without a stage, without studio lights, and without ever saying 3, 2, 1, we're live. So if you've been telling yourself media is not for me just because you don't love the spotlight, I want you to know you've been missing out on an entire side of this industry that was built for people just like you. In fact, in the next episode, we're going to dig into the how. I'll walk you through some of my favorite off-camera opportunities, the roles you don't see. You'll hear about voiceovers and narration, hand-in-pan videos. I'll tell you what those are all about. Content writing, being a virtual assistant, and being a consultant to brands. These are powerful, creative, and yes, profitable ways to share your message without ever reaching for a ring light. Wait, what? You haven't subscribed to this show yet? Oh, come on. Media Savvy will give you so many tips that you need. Just hit that subscribe button so you won't miss out on how you could build your portfolio with behind-the-scenes opportunities to build your bank account too. So tune into that next solo episode because that's what you're going to hear all about. But for today, I want you to leave with this thought. You don't have to be seen to be heard. Your voice matters. Your story matters. And there is a place for you in media. If this episode spoke to you, please hit subscribe, leave a comment. You know I read every one of them. And DM me on Instagram at BTD Media. Tell me what's one thing that's been holding you back from putting yourself out there. I love hearing your comments. I love knowing you're listening. And I would love to know what else you would like me to hear me speak about. And by the way, you're looking mighty media savvy today. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Bye.